Good morning, students. I welcome you all to yet another session of 10th Standard Biology. Students, today we are going to do lesson number 9, Heredity and Evolution, part 2. So, students, let's start with it. Now, here we try to define evolution. Now, what is evolution? Evolution is a change. It is a gradual and sequential change which takes place for millions of years. And because the sequential and gradual change is taking place for millions of years, it converts a primitive organisms into a newly developed organisms. To a newly developed organisms. Okay, this is what you call evolution. Okay, so let's define evolution here. So evolution is a sequence of gradual changes which takes place in primitive organism, that is oldest organisms, over millions of years, in which new species are produced. New species are produced means new organisms are produced. Students, here in this picture you can see this is ape. Now this ape has evolved to form a new species, that is human being, and it has taken millions of years. And how the ape has evolved to form a human being? Through a gradual and sequential changes. So we have evolved from apes. Apes are our ancestors. I hope you have understood the meaning of evolution. Let's go to the next slide. Now students, in this next slide, we are going to study about evolution and classification. Now first of all, we will learn all these terms. What is evolution? What is classification? And then later on try to connect all these terms. Now, define classification. Classification is grouping of organisms into groups depending upon similarities and dissimilarities. Grouping of organisms into groups depending upon similarities and dissimilarities. Classification is being done by many of the scientists. Scientists has classified those aquatic organisms with a vertebrate column as what? Pisces, that is fish. Those vertebrate animals which are aerial, that is can fly in the air, the body is covered by feathers, they have grouped into a group which is called as the birds or the aves. So scientists have carried out the work of classifying the organisms into different groups depending upon their similarities and dissimilarities. Now you will ask me why classification is important. Classification is important to study evolution, which you will understand in the later part. Let's go to the next definition. Define characteristic. Now what is a characteristic? Characteristic means it is a feature. It is a feature of an organism is called as a characteristic. Okay, the moment I say elephant, so you can see here elephant. What comes in your mind? The characters of an elephant. It has got a huge body. It has got 4 limbs, correct? The trunk and the tusk. So these are the features. So these are the characteristic of an elephant. Now the moment I say plant, what comes in your mind? The plant is green in color. If it is green in color, it will carry out photosynthesis and prepare its own food. So this is a characteristic of a plant. This is a feature of a plant. So this is what you call characteristic. Okay. So here, define characteristic. Characteristics are details of appearance, that is how they are, and behavior, in other words, of a particular form or a particular function. Okay, as I told you, form, the huge body. Okay, particular function, we discussed about photosynthesis. So here example, 4 limbs is a characteristic in case of animals, whereas photosynthesis is a characteristic in case of plants. So students, we have studied 3 definitions. One is evolution, the other is classification, and the other is characteristic. Now let's move ahead to the next slide. Now let's go from a lower level to a higher level. You will slowly understand what I am speaking about. Now students, what is common between us and a bacteria? Let me tell you, a bacteria is a living organism as well as human beings are living organisms. And you know that the body of the living organisms, all living organisms, the body is made up of cells. That's why we define cell as what? Cell is defined as the fundamental, structural and functional unit of life. So in material I am talking about a bacteria, or in material I am talking about a human being. The body of a bacteria and human being, both of them, is made up of cell only. Now, the cells can be classified into two types. One is a prokaryotic cell and the other as a eukaryotic cell. Now, this classification into prokaryotic cell and eukaryotic cell is depending upon the type of nucleus. The primitive nucleus, if an organism has, prokaryotic. If it has got a true and a well-developed nucleus, then it is a eukaryote. Now, students, don't you feel that the eukaryotes, we can again classify it, group it into two types of organisms. One is the unicellular organisms and the multicellular organisms. As the name itself suggests, unicellular organism, body is made up of a single cell, whereas multicellular organism, the body is made up of many cells. But this eukaryotic, this unicellular organism is a eukaryotic. At the same time, the multicellular organism is also a eukaryotic. Now, what is a eukaryotic? A eukaryotic is nothing but a cell. So, we classified cell into two types, as a prokaryotic cell and a eukaryotic cell. Eukaryotic cell we again classified into two types of organism. One organism where the body is made up of a single cell, that is unicellular organism, and other hand a multicellular eukaryotic organism where the body is made up of many cells. So students, you can see the images here. This is bacteria, it is a prokaryotic cell, and here this is a normal eukaryotic cell. Eukaryotic cell, you can see a well developed nucleus here, that is the blue color. Now this eukaryotic cell, as I told you, that may be present in two types of organism, either in a unicellular organism, this is euglena, or in a multicellular organism, that is turtle. Okay, turtle here just one example, even Pisces. Okay, even human beings, all of us are multicellular organisms. So unicellular, you have seen example here we have taken is of euglena, and here you can see multicellular, that is turtle. Okay. Let's move ahead with the reading part. The basic characteristic shared by all living organisms is that it is made up of cells. The cells can be of two types based upon the nucleus, namely a prokaryotic cell, example bacteria, eukaryotic cell, human cell. The eukaryotic cell, the eukaryotic organism, can be of two types depending upon the number of cells, namely unicellular organism, example euglena, a multicellular organism, example turtle, human being, fish, all of them are multicellular organisms. Now let's go to the next part. Now students, again I can classify the multicellular organisms into two groups depending upon nutrition. One group showing the autotrophic nutrition, that is the plants, and the other one showing the heterotrophic nutrition, and that is the animals. So here I can classify them again into two groups, that is the plants as well as the animals, depending upon whether they are autotrophic mode of nutrition or they are showing the heterotrophic mode of nutrition. Okay. Now in animals, again I can classify the animals into two types, depending upon the existence of the skeleton, whether the skeleton is existing outside the body or it is present outside the body, or whether the skeleton is present inside the body. So here you can see in case of snail, the snail is having a shell. So shell is the skeleton of the body, as the skeleton of the snail, and here you can see the shell is present outside. Whereas in case of human being, bones form our skeleton, and you can see the bones are present inside the body. So again we classified what? Animals into two types depending upon a feature or a character, that is skeleton. So those group of animals which are having the skeleton outside the body, and a group of organisms which are having the skeleton inside the body. So now I hope you have understood how the classification is done. You have understood what features we are taking into consideration. Features means characteristic we are taking into consideration. Okay. Now students, let's do the reading part. Multicellular organisms can be of two types depending on the mode of nutrition, as autotrophic plants, heterotrophic animals. Animals can again be classified into two types depending upon whether the skeleton is present outside or inside. Skeleton outside the body, example snail. Skeleton inside the body, example is that of human being. So students, if you try to recollect from where did we start? We started with the cell and we said that cell is the basic or the fundamental structural and functional unit of life. We mentioned that the cell is of two types, that is a prokaryotic cell and a eukaryotic cell. We again classified the eukaryotic cell into the eukaryotic organisms, unicellular one, euglena, and multicellular one, that is a turtle. Okay. Next, what we did is, again those multicellular organisms, we classified into two types depending upon the mode of nutrition, autotrophic and heterotrophic. Again in this animals, that is those showing the heterotrophic mode of nutrition, we classify them into two types. One is having the skeleton outside the body, that is snail, and one is having skeleton inside the body, and that is a human being. So don't you feel that from a cellular level, we are talking about a single cell, we have reached a multicellular complex body, that is human being. And we can see that how we went from a lower level to slowly to an higher level. So don't you feel it is basically a cell or which has undergone a gradual sequential change which has given rise to a series of organisms. Okay, so this is what evolution is. And this study, whatever we studied right now, it was very easy because we had already done the classification as autotrophic organism, heterotrophic organism, unicellular organism, multicellular organism. So in this way, students, classification is related to evolution. Now let's go to the next slide. So I'll just first tell you here. So we can see from all the previous slide, a hierarchy is developing. What is a hierarchy? Hierarchy means we are moving from a lower level to that of a higher level. Which was the lowermost level, my dear students? Lowermost level, we discussed about the cell. Because the cell is present in all living organisms, including a prokaryotic and a eukaryotic. After classifying a cell as a prokaryotic and eukaryotic, the lowermost level, we reach the highermost level, that is a complex human body. So moving from a lower level to a higher level, that is a ranking, that you call it as what? Hierarchy. Now define hierarchy. Hierarchy refers to classification of living organisms in successive level of complexity. In successive level of complexity. How from a lower organism we are entering into a complex organism. That is from simple to complex. So here I have a picture showing you the hierarchy here. So it is an evolutionary tree. So students, you can see we are having a common ancestor. Now this common ancestor has given, basically it got divided to form two groups. Okay. One, that is, you can see that is a mammal, that is a whale. And another example is that of human beings. Human being is also a mammal. Correct. Whereas here it got converted to lizard here. Lizard is a reptile. And here we have what? Birds. Okay, that is ewes. But basically our ancestors are the same. So this is what you call it as an evolutionary tree. Okay. I hope all of you have understood what is hierarchy. So we studied several definitions like that of evolution, like that of classification, characteristic and hierarchy. Now let's move over to the next part. Okay. Now here, first of all, I will explain you this particular diagram and then go to the reading part. So student, these are the parents. This is father and this is mother. You can see their children here. This is the children here. They have got two children, a daughter and a son. So this marks your first generation. This marks your parent generation. Now this daughter and son, they get married. Again, they have two children. So this is a granddaughter, this is a grandson, this is a granddaughter and this is a grandson. So you can in short see how many generations here, students. You can see here 3 generations. That is generation number 1, that is the parent generation. Then you can see the generation of the children, and you can see the generation of the grandchildren. Okay, so now who are the ancestors? Suppose if I'm taking 3 generations and just talking about the ancestors, the grandparents are the ancestors. Okay, so I explained to you how this chart is. As I told you, we are showing here how many generations? 3 generations, their grandparents, their children and their grandchildren. Okay, yeah. So now as I told you, these are the grandparents. They are having here 2 children. They are getting married here. Here also there are 2 children, correct? And here also he gets married, and here also 2 children. So now this is the sister and this is the brother, correct? This is the sister and this is the brother. Now here the sister is having 2 children. So this is 1 daughter and this is 1 son. Now the brother is also having 2 children. This is a daughter and this is a son. So in the 3rd generation we have 4 children. Okay, so now let's see the relationship between these 4 children here. Okay, now these 4 children, I have denoted it as what? I have denoted it as A, B, C and D. Now my question here is, I have denoted here the individual as A. Now A is closely related to B or A is closely related to D. Now let me tell you, A is very much closely related to B. Why is A closely related to B? A is closely related to B because they are sharing the same parents. They are sharing the same parents. So A will be closely related to B because they are brother and sisters. They fall into the same family. They are sharing the same parents. Okay. Then what about the relationship between A and D? Now as far as A and D, there will be relationship, but there will be no much similarities because their parents are different. Okay, so what statement do I want to make? I want to make a statement that organisms which are having a common ancestor will show more of similarities. Organisms which are having a common ancestor. So you can see this, both of them, they are very much similar to each other. Why they are similar to each other? Because they are having a common parent, that is a common ancestor. Whereas there is less similarity between A and D because they do not have a common ancestor. They are not sharing a common parent. Students, I hope you have understood this chart. So I will read now. The more characteristics 2 species will have in common, the more closely they are related. Common characters are very much similar. In that case, the species are closely related. And the more closely they are related, the more recently they might have a common ancestor. More recently, so I told you a brother and a sister is having the same parents, so that is a recent generation, correct or not? And a brother and sister will have common features together because their ancestors are recently formed and they belong to the same family. Whereas you are looking quite different from your cousin because your cousin is from a different family. And your ancestors are not that related. There is definitely a relationship, but they are not that recent relationship. Is it clear to you? Because you already crossed 1 generation. Yes. So now let's go to the next part. So here, students, I will just explain this here, how this relationship is there. So basically we are speaking about vertebrae. Vertebrae, we have a group that is the Pisces, as I told you. In Pisces, we are marking it as shark, that is fish, that is shark. Shark is the one, which has got a skeleton which is made up of cartilage. So we are marking it different. Then we have again vertebrae, again the ones which have bones. These are called as a bony fish. Again you can see a group which is having amphibian. Again you have a group which is called as the primates. Primates, we have the monkey group and we have the other mammals. Whereas here we have a group of organisms which are having the closed eggs. That is, reptiles also lay the eggs, the birds also lay the eggs. So here we have this here. 2 groups again. So now this tells us about their ancestors. Okay. So here you can say basically we have a common ancestor, a common character, that is vertebrate. All of us are vertebrates basically. But again divided into two groups, as I told you, whether they are having a cartilaginous skeleton or a bony skeleton. Again depending upon how many legs you have, like for example amphibians have got 4 legs, primates, that is a monkey group, has got 4 legs, the rabbit has got 4 legs, crocodile has got 4 legs, and the birds also, you know, you have got 4 limb and a hind limb. The only thing is 4 limb is modified to form the wings here. So from this picture you can see what is common. You can see the branches over here, so you can find out their ancestors. Okay. I do the reading part. Thus we can build up small groups of species with recent common ancestors. Then supergroups of this groups with more distant common ancestors, and so on. In theory, we can keep going backwards like this until we come to the notion of a single species at the beginning of evolutionary time. Okay. Now students, these groups, I'm so sorry, these groups have been printed 2 times. Now as I told you, basically vertebrate, again cartilaginous fish, bony fish, then amphibian, primates as I told you are monkeys, the rodents and rabbits, that is the rats as well as the rabbit, crocodiles and dinosaurs. So you can see they are sharing a common ancestor here like this, common ancestor here like this. Then here also they are sharing a common ancestor. Here they are joining here, common ancestor, and finally we have come from a vertebrate. Okay, and we have resulted in the formation of all these different species. Now let's move on to the next one. So I hope from a single vertebrate, from a simple vertebrate animal, how we have evolved to form the different group of organisms or different species of organisms. Okay. So we have seen that our body is made up of cells, and then depending upon the cells, basically we classified the organisms as 2 types, prokaryotic and eukaryotic. Eukaryotic we classified into unicellular and multicellular. Multicellular we classified depending upon the mode of nutrition as autotrophic and heterotrophic. Heterotrophic we again classified into 2 types, correct or not? That is animals, depending upon the skeleton, whether it is present outside or whether it is present inside. But we saw that in the beginning we were talking about cell only. And what does a cell contain? The cell contains water. Yes. The cell contains different type of nutrients, like that of carbohydrates, proteins. Now the moment I say carbohydrate, carbon, hydrates, hydrogen. So now basically at a very basic level, when you see, we see that basically the cell is made up of all these atoms. Okay, so here there is a picture. It tells you hydrogen, carbon, oxygen, nitrogen, calcium, phosphorus. These are the different elements which are present in a cell, and many cells having all these elements will come together and will result in the formation of an organisms. Okay, so let's do the reading part. If that is the case, then at some point in the history of Earth, non-living material might have given rise to life. There are many theories about how this might have happened. How all these non-living structure elements have come together, how they united, how it resulted in the formation of a cell, and how from a unicellular it got converted to a multicellular organism, and how evolution has taken place. Okay. So now let's see here. So I have just a series here. You can see a hierarchy. Hierarchy means we are going from a lower level to that of a higher level. You could start really small. All of us, we could start really small. particles of matter from their atoms. Atoms uniting together to form molecules. Many molecules coming together to form macromolecules. Macromolecules are present inside the cell organelles like endoplasmic reticulum and nucleus. This endoplasmic reticulum and nucleus are a part of the cells. Many cells will unite together to form a tissue. Tissues start functioning and get connected, forms an organ. The organ gets connected to different parts of the body, forms a system. This organ system is found in the body of an organism. An organism is present in a population, and the population is present in a particular ecosystem, that is environment. This environment forms a particular biome, and biome is a part of a planet. Planet contains a system of stars and then galaxies and then universe, and finish really big. Correct? We started with the smallest part, that is atom, and then we ended in the universe, that is a really big part. So I hope all of you have understood this session of biology. Now let's go into the assignment part. Okay. Now the assignment, how will you prove whether the species are closely related or not? Closely related organism will show a lot of common character and will have the recent common ancestor. Will have closely related character and will have the recent common ancestor. Next, explain the term evolution. We have discussed it. It is a sequential, gradual change which is taking place for millions of years, which converts a primitive organism, simple primitive, to a complex one. Hierarchy, it is a level moving from a simple to that of the complex. Classification, grouping of organisms depending upon similarities and dissimilarities. Characteristic, that is a feature regarding a form of organism or a function of an organism. Form, we described about elephant having 4 limbs, and function, we described about plants carrying out photosynthesis. So students, I hope all of you have understood this. That marks the end of the session. Thank you.
Good morning, students. I welcome.
Anika, off her. Complete silence,